Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So as you can tell from the title up above, I am doing a labor and delivery story. I did upload my labor and delivery vlog. If you guys haven't seen it, go ahead and go watch it. I'll put it right here in the iCard. Tony did end up coming through and vlogging a lot that day, so yeah, go ahead and go watch it if you guys want to see a little bit of what happened that day. Obviously I gave birth to the baby, which he's right here right next to me, but let's just get started. So I gave birth on February 1st at around 11 o'clock at night, so it was almost close to February 2nd, but he was born on the 1st. So let's just rewind a little bit and how I was going into labor. Even days, weeks before this, I've been experiencing Braxton Hicks contractions for like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, maybe even a month. Like, it's been a long process. Like, I've never experienced contractions like the whole time, and sometimes they'll get 15 minutes apart one day and then they'll go away like by the night time. It was crazy. Like, there was certain days or other days I'll be like, okay, I'm going into labor today, I'm getting the contractions, but then they would just stop. A few days actually before I did go into labor, one of my friends actually recommended me to take some tea, and she actually did give me a tea. I'll insert it here. She brought it to me, and I was drinking it like 2 times a day. I started drinking it on Wednesday, and I went into labor Friday, I believe it was. Yeah, so it was Wednesday that she gave it to me. I drank it that same day that she gave it to me. I drank it at night. The next morning I drank one. I drank one that night, and I was feeling contractions too, but nothing so constant. Like, I already had been feeling contractions even before she gave me the tea, so she was like, maybe this will speed it up. So, because that's what she did. So I'm like, okay, let's just try this. And I did it, and I mean, eventually I went into labor on Friday. Who knows if it was the tea that helped. And by this time I was already actually 3 centimeters dilated. Yeah, I was 3 centimeters dilated because I had gone to my appointment like I think that Monday or something, and I was 3 centimeters. When February 1st came, I was kind of like, wait, is this the real thing or not? Because honestly, I've been getting tricked this whole time. Baby was tricking me. He was like, I'm coming today, psych, I'm not. But on February 1st, he definitely did decide to come. He was actually, he headed off to work. Before he left, I woke up like around 5, and he left around 5:30. And in between that time, I got like maybe like 2 contractions before he left. But like I said, since I've been getting tricked before, like, I didn't know if it was a real thing to tell him just to stay. So I'm like, whatever, like, I'll just call him if it's the real thing. But once he left to work, they didn't stop. Honestly, they kept coming every 15 minutes, but this had happened before, so I'm like, okay, let me make sure, like, hopefully they get closer. So if they get to 10 minutes apart, then that's when I'll call. So come 7 o'clock, I think that's when they started to be 10 minutes apart, so I was like, okay, so this is definitely it. At the same time, I still kind of like, wait, is this it? Like, I don't know, it was just because like of the other contractions, the Braxton Hicks contractions I've been having the other few days, and sometimes they'll stop, so I'm like, I don't know if this is the real thing. Like, if you guys been pregnant before, you guys know how it is. Sometimes you think it's happening, but then it doesn't. But anyways, like 7 o'clock comes, and I'm like, oh crap, okay, so this is the real thing. I really need to get the plan that we had going started. So my brother came to pick up the kids for me, just because I'm like, okay, you know what, can you come pick them up already? I'm pretty sure I'm going into labor. After that, I texted Tony, and I'm like, hey, call me ASAP, because he was at work, like I said. Just by that, he already knew. He called me right away, and he was like, what, you're going into labor? And I'm like, yeah, I think it's the real thing. And his job is actually not that far away from our house, so he comes over here sometimes really quick on his breaks or lunch breaks. So he actually was already on his way over here, so it was like meant to be that day. He's like, I'm already here, like, when he called me, and I'm like, what, how are you even here? Like, but like I said, he comes on his break sometimes, so he was here. I actually took a shower first, and he's like, really, you're gonna take a shower first? And I'm like, yes, let's take a shower first. And I took a shower, and he was just getting ready to getting out of his work clothes and everything, and he took a quick shower as well. I believe he took a shower before I took a shower. I'm not sure, because he did come from work. After I was done taking a shower, my sister-in-law actually got here, since she was going to take us to the hospital. So she took us to the hospital, and then once we got there, I let them know everything, and they put me in the triage room or whatever. And this is where it gets pretty irritating and annoying. By this point, my contractions were already like going from, they were going anywhere from 5 minutes to 8 minutes apart. They were like going up and down. Like sometimes they would be 5 minutes, sometimes they would be 8 minutes. But the nurse hooked me up on the machine, and this nurse I wasn't too fond of just because she is the one that sent me home. Anyways, she had checked me, and on the machine they were coming that they were like 7 minutes apart, and she checked if I was dilated, and she said I was 4 centimeters dilated. And so she's like, I'm gonna have you walk around. So she had us walk around the hospital for like an hour, and she said come back in an hour. We did that, and then we came back. She hooked me up again. So the contractions were still 7 minutes apart. Like some were going down. She even said that, oh, the machine keeps catching them. Some were 5. They're definitely not staying consistent. And I'm like, dude, but they hurt, but they're there. You know what I mean? And then so she's like, I'm gonna have you walk again. I did that another hour, walked again. She told me to eat. I ate, and then by this time when we got back, I think it was like 1 o'clock, she checked me again, and she put the monitor on, and she was like, well, they're still going from 5 minutes to 7 minutes apart. Like they're going back and forth. So I'm gonna call your doctor to see what he wants to do, but I think there's maybe something going here, but you're just not quite in labor yet. And I was like, okay, like what the heck, like I'm not in labor yet. And actually I forgot to mention that when we had gone downstairs to walk the second time, some of them were coming 2 to 3 minutes apart at this point, the contractions. But for some reason, when I went up there to the room, to the triage room, every time Felix was being stubborn. When I would get up there, it's like I would lay down and he would relax or mellow out or something. I wouldn't get the contractions like I was getting them downstairs. It seemed to me like when I was walking, I was getting the contractions more instead of laying down, which I told her this, but I don't know if she didn't believe me or what. But she's like, let me just call your doctor, see what he wants to do. And I honestly thought that he was going to say for me to stay. I don't know if he didn't remember who I was, because they do have a bunch of patients or whatever. Or if maybe the lady was lying and she never called him. I don't know. My due date was on the 4th. And he was going to set an induction date. This hospital, like, I guess you have to schedule an induction date weeks in advance. And I don't know if my doctor didn't know that, because this is a new hospital that they moved to. When he tried to schedule it, they said that they couldn't schedule anything till the 8th. And my due date was the 4th. And that kind of freaked me out a little bit, because I'm like, I don't want to go past my due date. Like, I know people do, but that wasn't something, that's just something that scared me and freaked me out. Like, I didn't want to go past my due date. I was scared to go past my due date, just because you never know what could happen. So like I said, I for sure thought that he was gonna tell me to stay, but no. So when she came back, she's like, your doctor says to just leave. Like, I believe something is going on, but you're not quite in labor yet. In my head, I'm like, really? Like, and then I told her, well, when am I supposed to come back? Because like I said, my contractions were already 5 minutes apart at this point. And so I was surprised that she even sent me home. Even some would come 2 to 3 minutes apart. So I'm like, I don't know what's going on. It was crazy. Like, I couldn't believe that I was going home. And Tony was kind of getting quite upset about it, because he's like, what the heck? Like, why aren't they keeping you? And I'm not a person that likes confrontation. Like, I hate confrontation.
Well, no, I don't like confrontations.
Like, I'm just like, whatever, let's just go. Like, some people who told me, like, they would have said, I'm not leaving. And, you know, and like I said, I don't like confrontation. I hate that. Like, I was just like, whatever, like, let's just go. I told her, so when do I come back? Because obviously I don't want to have a baby in the car. Like, you know what I mean? Like, my contractions are already 5 minutes apart, and I'm already 4 centimeters, and you said you could stretch it. Like, when do I come back? She told me to come back when the contractions were every 2 to 3 minutes. And they were really strong. So I was like, okay. She's like, but for sure, if your water breaks, you really need to hurry up and come in, because this is your 6th baby. So baby's just gonna pop out. And in my head, I'm just like, no, duh. So, like, you know, like I said, I don't like confrontation. Maybe I should have spoke about it, but it's just like it's my 6th baby. So I'm 4 centimeters right now. Like, and I'm getting the contractions 5 minutes apart. Like, why wouldn't you keep me then? You know what I mean? But we went home. Tony was upset about it. That's when he recorded a little bit. You guys saw, like, they're gonna send us home or whatever.
just in case we go home. Let me see.
I think that was before that, when they actually sent us home. Like, we already had a feeling they were gonna send us home just because of how the nurse was. So it's like she wasn't really listening to me. Just like she was just as stuck in her head of her own thoughts and not really listening to what I was saying. So we ended up going to my mom's house just because I knew I was gonna go into labor that day. Like, there was no doubt about it. I was still getting the contractions. I was walking around in the backyard getting the contractions. They were so painful. At this point, like, it was crazy. He was a really stubborn baby. Sometimes, like, okay, so my contractions from, I think, since I left the hospital all the way till maybe, I want to say, like 6 o'clock, they were ranging anywhere from 4 minutes apart to 7 minutes apart. They were not constant at all. Like, for the most part, they would stay 5 minutes apart, but sometimes they would go up to 7 minutes, or it was crazy. So sometimes that started going through my head, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, why don't they stay constant? Like, in my head, I was like, okay, they have to be every 2 minutes, every 2 minutes, every 2 to 3 minutes, you know, like that. But no, they would fluctuate, and so I was like, what the heck? Like, but they were freaking painful at this point. I think by 8 o'clock, they were definitely really, really, really painful. And they still, by this point, my contractions were anywhere from 2 minutes to 7 minutes apart. It definitely didn't stay 2 to 3 minutes for an hour. They were like, sometimes they'll be 2 minutes, sometimes they were 3 minutes, sometimes they went to 5 minutes, 7 minutes. It went back and forth. So in my head at 8 o'clock, I was like, dude, what the heck is going on? Like, am I in labor or not? Because they're not staying constant 2 to 3 minutes, but they're freaking painful. I just broke down at, I think, around 8 o'clock. That's when I started breaking down. Like, I was taking them at this point, and they were so painful. Like, every time I would get a contraction, I was holding on to something and just like trying not to let the kids notice how painful they were, because the kids were there, and that was the hardest part too. And in my head, like, I was hating the nurse at this point, because I'm like, what the heck, dude, I'm in labor, but second guessing myself at the same time, which that's how messed up my head is, you know. But anyways, yeah, like, the kids were there, my parents were there seeing me in pain, Tony was there, like, obviously Tony was there, but like, everybody was watching me in pain. And that was like the most hardest part, just seeing them, because I could tell that the kids were like, oh my goodness, like, she's in real pain, you know. So 8 o'clock came, I broke down, I started crying because they were so painful. I'm like, I can't take it anymore. Like, they're not staying 2 to 3 minutes apart, but I am getting some that are 2 or 3 minutes apart. But like I said, they were going back and forth. So I'm like, you know what, let's just go back, screw it, let's see what they say, let's see if they end up sending me home. I don't care. Like, they just hurt at this point, I can't take it. So when we ended up going back, I think around 8:20, we got there, maybe 8:30. So I had told the lady again, I still had my bracelets on from the morning that I had gone, because they sent me home. I don't know if I mentioned that. I got sent home like around 1 o'clock. So at this point, it was like 8:30 when I got there. So when I got there, I let them know I was already here. They sent me home. My contractions are closer this time. I lied to them, honestly, because I'm like, I didn't even tell them that they were going from 7 minutes apart. I just said they were really painful and they were 2 to 3 minutes apart. Like, at this point, I'm like, I'm just gonna lie to them, screw it, because like, they hurt so bad, I can't take it. Even there, when she was talking to me, I just couldn't even listen to her. Like, I'm like, oh, like, they hurt it so bad. And at this point, there was a lot more people there waiting to get seen, like women that are pregnant. I guess they were inductions, so it was full. But in the morning when I had gone, it was empty. I'm not gonna lie, it was empty. So I thought they for sure would keep me in the morning, but I was like, even when we went at night, I'm like, crap, it's full, they might not keep me. Like, in my head, I was thinking maybe I was still 4 centimeters, maybe 5 centimeters or 6, you know. So, and it was full, so that was kind of, I was like, man, are they even gonna keep me at this point? Like, there's so many people here. But she took me in right away, actually before the inductions, obviously, because they weren't in pain like I was. So they took me in. The lady came in, she's like, oh, you were here in the morning? I'm like, yeah, they're like just really painful right now, I can't take them no more, they're 2 to 3 minutes apart. She's like, okay, let me go ahead and check you. So she goes and checks me, And then she's like, oh, you're 8 centimeters dilated. And I'm like, I was like, what the heck? I'm 8 centimeters, like scared, and like I'm in my head, I'm like, crap, I'm not gonna be able to get the epidural. Like, what the heck? Like, I'm 8 centimeters, and in my head, I'm like, dude, I was so pissed off that the girl before that, the nurse in the morning, sent me home, because at this point, I probably would have had the epidural already, but she sent me home. I was 8 centimeters dilated, about to pop, and she's like, okay, like they speeded up everything. A bunch of nurses came in. I'm like, oh my goodness, you're 8 centimeters. It's fine, it's fine. And I'm like, oh, like I don't know why she sent me home. She's like, and then she's like, okay, it's fine now. Don't worry, you got this. Like, if your water breaks, we got you. And in my head, I'm like, dude, don't say that. I don't want to hear that my water is gonna break, because she said once my water broke, it's done from there. And obviously, I knew that. But what surprised me is that I was still able to get my epidural, even that I was at 8 centimeters, because I honestly thought after 7 you can't get the epidural. So I'm like, that's why when I heard it, I'm like, I literally wanted to cry. And Tony was like, it's okay, babe, it's okay, you got this. Like, and I'm just like, dude, like, I hated the lady in the morning so much at that point, just because I'm like, dude, if she would have kept me in here, I probably would have had the epidural already. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I was so pissed off at this point, but in pain. So they try to hurry up, and she's like, you can still get the epidural just as long as your water doesn't break. And she's like, they were hurrying up, getting all my information. There was like 5 nurses in there trying to hurry me up to go send me to another room before my water breaks or something, you know. So they asked me all the questions. I ended up going to the other room, thankfully, and she checked me again. At this point, I was scared every time they checked me, because I'm like, dude, if you check me and my water breaks, oh hell no, like, you know, it's gonna be over from there. Like, I know I've done a normal natural birth before. I've had, what is it, 3 natural births and 3 births with epidural. So the first 3 were natural births, but I know how it feels and I know how it is. But like, I know I've done it before, but I don't know, like, I really wanted the epidural. I didn't want to feel none of that. So I was like, dude, like, every time they check me, I'm like, dude, you're gonna pop my water. You're gonna pop my water. Please don't pop. In my head, I'm like, please don't break my water. Please don't break my water. Every time they check me, because I think they checked me 3 times before my water even broke by itself. But I did end up getting the epidural, guys. Like, I was so happy. Like, but it took a while. Even when they sent me to the other room, I guess I had to finish a whole bag of IV. I think it was, yeah, like, it was a whole bag of IV. So I'm like, dude, like, am I really gonna finish a whole bag of IV before my water breaks? You know, and at this time, I believe it was already like 9 o'clock. It was like 9 o'clock. I don't remember the exact time. I should have recorded this before, but you guys could look in my vlog, exact times and stuff like that. But I'm sorry if I'm off on that, but I believe it was like around 9 o'clock or something when I got the epidural. Like, the bag finished, and the nurse that I got was really nice. She's like, okay, like, once this bag finishes, she even got a pressure thing or something like that. But she actually put like a something about pressure or something to speed up the process of the IV so that I could hurry up and get the epidural. She was really nice. This nurse was really nice. Like, I really liked her. And once the bag finished, she's like, okay, let me go call him. Like, don't worry, he'll come in really quick. He's really good at coming in really quick. So after that, he came in really quick. He gave me the epidural, and I was good. Like, I was like, at least, she's like, okay, well, now you get to relax, at least maybe for an hour, so go ahead and relax. And she's like, just let me know if your water breaks, just call me. And so eventually my water ended up breaking by myself. Like, they always have to break it for me. So my water actually broke by myself, and they were waiting to. They honestly, if they really wanted to, they could have broke my water, but my doctor wasn't there. My doctor was awful, guys. Like, if you guys follow me from the beginning, you guys know that the doctor that I have is not the doctor that I've had, but I had to deal with him just because it was closer, the office, and I've gone to that office for years, and it's just that my doctor's not there anymore. But this guy, like, I would never go have a baby with him ever again. Like, even the appointments sucked. When my pregnancy appointments, he's like, just get to the point. Are you okay? Okay, bye. Like that. Like, he really, I don't know. He's just, in my opinion, an awful doctor, honestly. They had called them right when I got there at 8 o'clock and was like, oh, you have a patient here. She is 8 centimeters dilated already. And so that was 8 o'clock when they had called. And then once my water broke, I think my water broke like at, I don't know, maybe like at 10:30 or, yeah, I think it was 11. I'm not sure. Yeah, 11. It was like 11. And he still hadn't got there. Like, they called him at 8 o'clock and she's like, we're still waiting for your doctor. Like, I'm like, well, I feel a bunch of pressure already because my water had broken at this point. So I'm like, I feel a bunch of pressure. And so they were looking and they're like, okay, he's on his way. He said he's on his way. So he finally got there, and literally they put you know how they put your legs up on that thing? And Tony ended up looking and he's like, oh crap, the baby's already there. So I guess the baby's head was already out. So he's all like, the baby's literally right there. And he got freaked out. He's like, is it okay for the baby to be like that? Could he even breathe or whatever? And the doctor assured him it was fine. But literally, they're like, okay, push. I only pushed once and that was it, honestly. Like, I pushed once, he was out. I'm not even lying. Like, that's how fast it was. I mean, his head was already practically out at this point. So yeah, like, was my crazy labor and delivery story. So now I have him right here. And my experience with my doctor, with that hospital, I will never go over there again. Like, the other hospitals that I have gone, I felt like were better. Like, even sometimes I still had things going on with the other hospitals that I didn't like. But this one was by far the worst one. Honestly, like, the one that sent me home in the morning, like, I just couldn't believe that she sent me home. But at the end of the day, baby, it was okay and everything was fine. He did end up actually pooping inside of me. Like, so when he actually came out, or no, actually, when my water broke, actually, the lady notified us that, oh no, he actually did poop inside of you, because that's when your water breaks and it comes out that color, that means that he pooped inside of you. And then Tony got freaked out. I kind of got freaked out, but like the nurse was like, don't worry, it's gonna be okay, because I know it could be bad for that to happen, for them to eat their like own poop and stuff. So they ended up having to call a nurse for the baby or something to be there for the delivery, just in case something did happen. So the nurse was in there, but he came out fine. Everything was fine. He ended up being fine, and he didn't have to go to the NICU or anything. I think it was a NICU nurse, just in case they had to take them or something like that. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure, but he's fine. He was fine when he was born. So that's my crazy labor and delivery story. I would never go to the hospital again if I had another kid, which I don't plan on having any more kids. Like, this is my 6th baby. I didn't even plan on having him, but he's here. You're here, huh? And you're hungry. He's hungry, but he is breastfed, exclusively breastfed. He's always eating. And yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed it. So don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe, and we'll talk to you guys in the next video. Bye guys.